We are back. This is Numbers chapter 11. I am going to read it. I'm starting off now doing my shorts. I'm trying to grow the channel. I want God to bless not just me, but for people. But it has to be something that, I'm ready for, that I'm knowledgeable about, that I'm able to manage. I was looking into Miles Monroe, and he was talking about a lot of things of what you can manage. God blesses you and gives you as you can manage it. I'm learning. We got to study, show ourselves approved. So this is a part of that, and everything has to be, growing. So this is a new beginning. This is the beginning of the month. It's not the new year. We already, established that. But April 1st will be that. But we're going to get into it. Okay, this is Numbers chapter 11. This is an on-time word. This is beginnings for them. They're moving. And I'm going to read what it says, and we're going to get into this. I'm going to try to do it quickly because it says, and the people complained in the hearing of the Lord about their misfortunes. And wait. Okay, the people complained in the hearing of the Lord about their misfortunes. And when the Lord heard it, his anger was kindled. And the fire of the Lord burned among them and consumed some outlying parts of the camp. Then the people cried out to Moses, and Moses prayed to the Lord, and the fire died down. So the name of the place was called Taberah. We're going to look that up. Where's my little notepad? Because I like to take notes, and I like to look up things. So we're going to look up Taberah. That was a name. Okay. Where God had burned. Because of the fire, the Lord burned among them. Now the rabble that was among them, I'm going to put rabble because I don't really know what that means. That was among them had a strong craving, and the people of Israel also wept again and said, oh, that we had meat to eat. Complaining. We're going to get into this because, honey, this is it's an on-time word. Okay. Oh, that we had meat to eat. We remember the fish we ate in Egypt that cost nothing, the cucumbers, the melons, the leeks, the onions, and the garlic. But now our strength is dried up, and there is nothing at all but this manna to look at. So, they're talking about Egypt, which we know how that went in Egypt. And they're talking about the manna. And they're talking about how it was for free, which we're going to get into that. Oh, Lord. So now it was like the manna, because it's out of manna. Now the manna was like coriander seed, and its appearance was like that of bdellium. I got to look that up. The people went about and gathered it and ground it in hand mills or beat it in mortars and boiled it in pots and made cakes of it. And the taste of it was like the taste of cakes baked with oil. Now, when the dew fell upon the camp in the night, the manna fell with it. Remember, they collected manna at night, and they were only able to eat it for that one day. So, with the manna, this was daily. So that was their daily bread. Remember that. Okay. Bdellium, okay. Bdellium. Yeah, because we want to understand. Okay, Moses heard the people weeping throughout their clans, everyone at the door of his tent, and the anger of the Lord blazed hotly. And Moses was displeased as well. Moses said to the Lord, why have you dealt ill with your servant, meaning talking about himself? And why have I not found favor in your sight, that you lay the burden of all these people on me? Wow. Ooh, Moses is like, listen here. The burden of the people. Because remember, he's interceding. He's standing interceding for them. Honey, we are going to get this. It's going to be a word for somebody, for a few. It set my soul ablaze honey, if you ever been there, you're going to holler when I finish. You're going to hallelujah, praise him, worship him. Yes, you are. Okay. Did I conceive all these people? Did I give them birth? Oh, Jesus. that you should say to me, carry them in your bosom, as a nurse carries a nursing child, to the land that you swore to give their fathers. Whoa, ain't that a word? Mothers and fathers, woo, children, get a chair. We gonna break this thing down. Ungrateful people you moved in with, your people you loved, you helped, man, women, child, whatever, honey, we about to break. Where am I? Okay, hold on. Where am I to get? He said, okay, wait a minute. Carry them in my bosom as a nurse carries a nursing child to the land that you swore to give their fathers. Where am I to get meat to give to all these people? For they weep before me and say, give us meat that we may eat. I'm sucking on this because of my throat. I am not able to carry all these people alone. The burden is too heavy for me. This is talking about position. Remember, people want certain things, but you got to be prepared to carry the weight, honey. Please understand mantles, callings, babe. That's another thing. If you treat me like this, kill me at once. If I find favor in your sight, that I may not see my wretchedness, Lord. Blessed Jesus. Hallelujah. This is what Moses is saying. Can you imagine? They left out from Egypt to such a amount of people. God has blessed. Honey, Moses is sick of them. He's tired of these folks. He's standing in the gap for these folks. God can kill him behind these folks. These folks do not appreciate nothing. Do you see how people can never be satisfied? Baby, we're going to get into this thing. Certain people, no matter what you do, will never be satisfied. Please understand with nothing you ever. This is why that people pleasing goes out the window. Oh, it's this year. Then the Lord said to Moses, gather for me 70 men of the elders of Israel, whom you know to be elders of the people, and the officers with them, and bring them to the tent of meeting, and let them take their stand there with you. That's what God's, he's gonna fix this issue. Don't have to, but he is. And I will come down and talk with you there. And I will take some of the spirit that is on you. See? The spirit he has that God gave him. And put it on them. See, look at that. This will people be wanting though. And then they'll know where to come with. Okay. And they shall bear the burden of the people with you. Because you got to have some people help you. But they got to be right people. Okay, hold up. So that you may not bear it all yourself alone. And this is why we are families and all. This is what this is about. And say to the people, consecrate yourselves for tomorrow. And you shall eat meat, for you have wept in the hearing of the Lord, saying, who will give us meat to eat? For it was better for us in Egypt. What? Therefore the Lord will give you meat, and you shall eat. You shall not eat just 1 day or 2 days or 5 days, or 10 days or 20 days, but a whole month, until it comes out at your nostrils and become loathsome to you, because you have rejected the Lord who is among you, and have wept before him. Ooh, sorry about that. Saying, why did we come out of Egypt? But Moses said, the people among whom I am numbered 600,000 on foot. And you said, I will give them meat, that they may eat a whole month. Shall flocks and herds be slaughtered for them, and be enough for them? Or shall all the fish of the sea be gathered together for them, and be enough for them? And the Lord said to Moses, because he was getting out of line too now, because listen here. Moses said he acting like he do, getting that Elijah, I think. And the Lord said to Moses, like he the only one, is the Lord's hand shortened? Now you shall see whether my word will come true for you or not. So Moses went out and told the people the words of the Lord. And he gathered 70 men of the elders of the people and placed them around the tent. Then the Lord came down in the cloud and spoke to him, and took some of the spirit that was on him and put it on the 70 elders. And as soon as the spirit rested on them, they prophesied. Holly. But they did not continue doing it. Now 2 men remained in the camp, and one named Eldad and the other named Medad. We're going to write that down. Want to know them too. Medad. Okay. And the Spirit rested on them, and they were among those registered, but they had not gone out to the tent. And so they prophesied in the camp. And the young man ran and told Moses, Eldad and Medad are prophesying in the camp. And Joshua, the son of Nun, the assistant of Moses from his youth, said, My Lord Moses, stop them. But Moses said to him, Are you jealous for my sake? With that, all the Lord's people were prophets, and that the Lord will put his Spirit on them. And Moses said to the elders of Israel and returned to the camp. That's what he said to them. So we got to think about that too, because folks, are they around because they really want to help? Do they want to take what you got? Do they not want you to have? Hello, we coming down that block. We going to get to it. We going to get into this thing. Then the wind, but see, Moses didn't care because he's not worried about if anybody else got it. Whatever he got and God gave it to him, he wasn't worried about it. Because he knew what it came with. And these people, they better be ready for that because they want it, but they don't want what come with it. They want all the glory and the honor, but they don't want the responsibility. Ooh, Jesus, don't let that go over your head. Everybody want to be kings and queens, but they don't want to wear that crown, and heavy is the head that wears it. Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. Help me, Holy Ghost, now. Okay, then a wind from the Lord sprang up, and it brought quail from the sea and let them fall beside the camp, about a day's journey on this side and a day's journey on the other side, around the camp and about 2 cubits above the ground. And the people rose all that day and all night and the next day and gathered the quail. Those who gathered least gathered 10 homers. Homers. We're going to write that down, because those are some type of homers and cubits. I know those are measurements. We're going to look those up too. And they and they spread them out for themselves all around the camp. Now, while the meat was yet between their teeth, before it was consumed, the anger of the Lord was kindled against the people, and the Lord struck down the people with a very great plague. Why do we get struck down with plagues and stuff? People keep thinking, yeah, that stuff is judgments. For what disobedience, judgments, baby. Pay attention. Hurricanes, all that. Not to say it is all the time, but usually a lot of time it's the stuff you ain't been doing right. Therefore the name, boy, you're too loud. Hey. Consumed anger, and the Lord was kindled against the people, and the Lord struck down the people with a very great plague. Therefore the name of that place was called Kilbroth and Hatava, because there they buried the people who had the cravings. From Kilbroth, Havana, the people journeyed to Hezroth, and they remained at Hezroth. So we're going to look up those places too. Boy, you too loud. You too loud. I can hear you in here. You heard me? Right. My son is here playing that game again. And normally I'm by myself, so excuse me, y'all. He normal. He's 20 years old, but still. He can play his game, but he can't be in now. Well, I got the him over here. Anyway, because I'm in the living room here. I'm trying not to be so loud for him, too, so we got to have a little respect. But we're going to get into this thing. We're going to get into it. Let's get into it. So now we got several things already going on at the same time. Okay. Here the things had gone pretty well in Israel. Little interruption had been given to the methods of God's favor. And to them, since the matter of the golden calf, right, they already was messing up. The people seemed teachable. They already was acting up there. He already got rid of them. He judged them. He did what he needed because it's the rod of correction. So, the golden calf, the people seemed teachable, marshaling and purifying the camp, the princes devout and generous in dedicating their altar, and there was good hope that they will be in Canaan presently. But at this chapter begins melancholy scene. The measures are all broken. God has turned to be their enemy and fights against them. Why? And it is sin that makes all of this mischief. Their murmurings kindled a fire among them, which yet was soon quenched by the prayer of Moses. Be careful them folks who intercede for you, because I'm going to tell you, when you start treating them like crap, God starts dealing with your life. You better watch the people who God have there working on your behalf. And you better don't mix up the ones God put there for you to help you with the ones that the devil sends to destroy you. Because a lot of times, this is what goes on. And you treat the ones God sent you like crap, while you treat the ones the devil sent you like, oh, help me, Holy Ghost. Y'all hold on to that. Hold on to that right there, because that's a nugget. No sooner was the fire of judgment quenched than the fire of sin breaks out again. Why? Moses praying for him. He interceding, asking God, listen, these people you gave me, right? God takes occasion from it to magnify both his mercy and his justice. The people fret for want of flesh, Moses frets for want of help. So God promises to gratify them both. So he appoints help for Moses, which is supposed to help, and to give them the people what they want. He gets the elders to help with the government, help, Moses carry that load, that burden of helping governing all of these people, which is a responsibility. It is a heavy weight. So delegation of others that are trustworthy to help bear the burden, bear the load. So it's not falling all on one person. Please help me, Holy Ghost, because people seem to think that that's the way it's supposed to go. But see, you got to have the right people, because people will change. They will want what you got. They will remember. This is why trust and having certain people in your life is so important. This word here is who Jesus help me, Holy Lord, I thank you. The power of God brings quails to the feast of the people. Why? He allows it to rain down and give them what they needed, right? To shut everybody up, the justice of God. Play them for their murmurings. Why? Because this is after he done blessed them. So then he done went, he done did all of this stuff. He helped Moses. He gave Moses the elders to help him with the government, the 70. He turned around, he let it rain the quail down for a whole month. They wanted meat. Okay, they tired of manna. They complaining. Here we go. He gave them the manna. So now here it is. 1, the people sinned. They complained. They were, as it were, complainers. So it is in the margin that there was some secret grudgings and discontents among them when they just not happy, not satisfied, which as yet did not break out in open mutiny. No, but now it's a great matter, because once the fire is kindled, once one person, they will corrupt the rest of them, one bad apple. So remember, these usually, they could be outsiders, insiders, whatever, or their hearts could not be fully circumcised to the situation. And this is where, when your vision, what you're trying to do, people are on the outs with you trying to secretly sabotage. Ooh, Jesus. Okay, so guys, they got the laws, the ordinances. Began with God himself. He didn't rescue them. Remember, they were in bondage. Okay. So they had received from God excellent laws, ordinances, yet no sooner that they departed from the mount, the Lord, they began to quarrel with God himself. See in this, the sinfulness of which takes occasion from commandment to being more provoking, right? The weakness of the Lord throughout the flesh. Why? The Lord discovered sin but could not destroy it, checked it but could not conquer it. They complained. Interpreters inquire that they complained of, and truly, when they were finished with so much matter for thanksgiving, one may justly wonder where they found any matter for complaint. Why? What are you complaining about now? What seems to be your issue and or your problem? See, we got to be with your job, with your loved ones, with your parents, with your siblings, with your children, with your spouses. See, this here, and then outsiders and then others. See, and run into these others and looking in comparison, all of that will fall under fun. Why? Because whatever you was happy for, husbands, when it's your wife and you see other and you want more, boom. Wow, same thing. Children, same thing. When it comes to God and us, same thing. Hallelujah. Lord Jesus, help us fix it. So, okay. Some of them agree, some of them not, because they complain, removed. Okay. They was there for so long, that was a problem. It's supposed to be, moving. They're getting manna. Everything is a problem. Now, mind you, to bring them into Canaan. So this journey, they didn't like the fact of the journey, how long it was. They had to walk. Then they had to rest. They had to stop. Everything's a problem. So when we consider how the camp was guarded, creased, what good victuals they had, and good company, and what care was taken of them. The marches that they feet should not swell, their clothes did not wear out. Many would ask, because although you don't have everything you want, but you do have something. Oh, what could have been done more for people to make them easy, and yet they complain. No, those that are a fretful, discontented spirit will always find something or another to quarrel with, meaning complain, through their circumstances or outward condition, be ever so favorable. Ooh, Jesus, meaning don't matter how much and what you give folks, they will never be satisfied. Baby, if this ain't a word for me and other folks out there, I don't know what is. You can put folks in your life. You can meet a person, man or woman, help them fix their whole life up, not be happy, go find somebody else. You can have children, or it could be you with God, your relationship with God. No matter what he do, you're never happy, you're never satisfied. When it comes to the children, no matter what they do, or the children with you, no matter what you do, never baby. On your job, no matter what you do, no matter people will find fault, or it's nothing but the devil. But it's not just him. He uses what's already in your heart. The seed that is already there of discontent will grow. Because that one little thing that's in there that you don't like, he will use that. And it will become what you will then have everything. It's never enough. It's never happy. It's never satisfied. No matter what you get, you always want more. You always want something else, something extra. This is what this is about. Why we see people who are rich and always want more money, always want this, always want that. No matter whether it's money, whether it's fame, whether it's power, it could be degrees, it could be education, whatever it is. This is why people are never satisfied. Discontent. And not only that, but we'll complain. So what God did, he's equated with these secret frettings because he knows. So God's resentment of the effort given to him by this sin. Why? Because the Lord heard it. And though it does not appear that Moses did, God is acquainted with the secret frettings and murmurings of the heart, though they are industriously concealed from men. But what he took notice of was his much displeased with them. Then the anger that was kindled. No, though God graciously gives us leave to complain to him when there's an issue, yet he is justly provoked and takes it very ill if we complain of him wherein there's no cause. So such conduct in our inferiors provokes us. It provokes God to anger and wrath to contend with us. Why? This is ungratefulness at its core. I'm going to lay it on the line. Why? Because I have gone through it. I'm quite sure I probably done it to others. People have done it to me, kids and all. When there's no satisfying people, when no matter what you do, it will never be enough. That is when they complain unjustly, because God tried to fix everything, every complaint that they had. But it didn't matter what he did. They wanted more. This will provoke God to anger. And just like a parent with a child, because I see the situations, a husband and a wife with a husband, children, with God, with each other, on a job. When you have situations and circumstances where no matter what people do, it is never enough, that's a problem. Now, it could be them not getting what they asked for, which nobody's going to always get everything that they want and ask for. That's just not a part of life. People could sit here and say, oh, we didn't ask to be here, whether it's the kids, the parents. None of us asked to be here. So we're not even going to go there, because at the end of the day, I didn't ask to be here. My father and them didn't ask to be here. My kids didn't ask to be here. So we're going to dismiss all of that. Because no matter who asked to be here and who not, we're here. And we all got to deal with it. So we're not even going to use that as an excuse. Whether it's in your friendships, you see what I'm saying? Whether it's just this blatant disregard for the pouring, for the love, for the provision. Now, so let's get into it. So this is where God's wrath burned hot against them. So the judgment wherewith God chastised them for this sin. Why? It's a sin. The fire of the Lord burnt among them. Instead of them being happy and thankful, he delivered them from bondage. That's like moving someone in your house, and no matter what you did for them, they're not happy. That's when they come in and take over. See, pay attention to these things. Such flashes of fire from the cloud as had consumed Nadab and Abihu. This is in shelters. I've seen this in different places. I've seen it. No matter what you do, you can be a person on the train. They ask you for money. You get them. They ask you for $1. You give it to them. Oh, well, can I get $2? See, we got to stop that. The fire of their wrath against God burned in their minds, and justly does the fire of God's wrath fasten upon the bodies. We read the murmuring several times when they came first out of Egypt, yes, but we do not read of any plagues inflicted on them for the murmurings, as there were now. For now they had great experience of God's care, and of them, he cared for them, and therefore how to distrust him was so much more inexcusable, meaning they weren't trusting. And this is another thing, because even as Christians, we do, or I'm not even going to say Christian, because I'm a believer, I'm a follower. Christ didn't die for us to be Christians. He Christ for us to be believers. Why? Because at the end of the day, it comes to a certain point where we should have trust. Now, don't get me wrong. There are times when this is in relationships, this is when you have issues with trust and you need to be healed, and people have to understand that, guess what? There's certain things, they call it PTSD, trauma, fight, flight, whatever they want to call it, these syndromes, these whatever's, they're just trauma. They're just soul wounds. They're demons. That's there. That needs to be healed. These are broken, fragmented parts of you that needs healing. So at that point in time, people have to be delicate, and you have to sit down and discuss these things. It takes more than just getting together. No, it takes counseling, it takes God, it takes a bunch of things for you to really get to that point to where you are, because it's not a one-time shot thing. It's an ongoing thing. So this is what this is about. It's a lifetime thing. And as long as we all are here and we've had sin and we've had transgressions, we've had sin, we have trespassed on each other, we've done things to people, they've done things to us, no matter what it is, We have to understand this. So now the fire was kindled against them, right? Just like it was with Jacob. But to show how unwilling God was to contend with them, it fastened on those only that were in the uttermost parts of the camp. Thus God's judgment came upon them gradually, that they might take warning. Your parents tell you, I've been doing for you, I've been helping you, stop doing this, stop acting like I don't do nothing for you, stop being ungrateful, and then they stop. That might be the reason. You get cussed out, you get slapped, you get put out. That might be the reason. You could sit there and say, oh, you didn't ask to be here, neither did they, and neither do they have to do everything for you. That is not what the handbook says, especially once you get to a certain age and you're grown. Nobody has to do nothing. And then on top of that, when it comes to the parent that is not there, usually the one that is there get treated like crap the most. So now, or whether it's the parent, whether it's at the job where you see people in the jobs, the ones who do work get treated like crap, and the ones who sit around and do nothing do whatever they want to do, and there's there's the favoritism that goes on with that. This is what this is about. So when you have these type of situations, Satan loves to work it on out for you. Now it's people, because we're in our spirits and we're making decisions. But if there's something in there, then guess what? He's going to monetize on that. He's going to expand it. Whatever minute, he's going to expand it. Make it more. And it's our own thoughts, parts, actions towards these situations. And this is how we end up there. So, they cried to Moses, who was their tried intercessor. Be careful of people. Like I said, when people are interceding for you, God is watching how you treat them. Do not mishandle people that God have there helping for you. Because, honey, that was your grace and your mercy right there. And the moment you start mistreating them, God is going to deal with you harshly. Because they don't have to. And they're bearing the burden of you. And instead of you being thankful and grateful, you're being ungrateful. You really, really are. Pay attention to them people that don't ask you for nothing. But a little love, a little time, a little reciprocation maybe here and there. Them are the people. Because if they're not requiring asking much of you, those are the ones you need to be looking more into. Why? Because they're the ones that actually care. Because everybody else got their hand out, want you to do something for them. Please pay attention to this, because, honey, this is an on time when I tell you. So when they complain about without cause, it is just with God to give us cause to complain. You ever heard your parents say, you crying, I'm going to give you something to cry for? That's what that's about. So those that slight God's friends when they are in prosperity will be glad to make them their friends when they are in distress. Father Abraham and Lazarus. So this, you know how some people would turn around and when you're complaining, when things is going wrong, those are the people that, long as things was fine with that person, they was over there and everything was wonderful. But the moment things they got good, you go over there with people that don't like you and chill with them. Them be them type of folks. Now, the prevalency of Moses' intercession for them. When Moses prayed unto the Lord, he was always ready to stand in the gap, to turn away the wrath of God from these people. God had respect to him and his offerings, and the fire was quenched. Why? By this appears that God delights not in punishment, for when he has begun his controversy, he has soon prevailed with it to let it fall. But Moses was one of those worthies who by faith quenched the violence of fire, meaning he stood in the gap so that they wouldn't get what God could have given them. He prayed and spoke to God and asked them not to do certain things to them. He intervened on their behalf. But if he didn't, if God wanted to get rid of them and start all over again, completely wipe out the race, honey, bye. So while people are in witchcraft, sorcery, voodoo, are out here doing all these evil, wicked things, these same people who you hate, and you hate the God they serve, who pray and fast and do all these things for these worlds and intercede on your behalf, be thankful, be grateful, and don't be sitting here trying to be wicked to these people. Because you don't know what God would do if they was to all just stop praying and fasting on behalf of the world's sake. What would happen then? These people are standing in the gap, asking God to do certain things. While being mocked, while being mistreated, used, abused, all of these things by the same people that they standing in the gap for. Same thing with Jesus. Could you imagine? And they have their own stuff in their own life that they're dealing with at the same time. Lord, bless it, Jesus. Help us. Lord, fix it. Fix it, Jesus. Fix it, Lord. So what happened was, So he did quench, which was he had some fire. So here the people was fretting, speaking against God himself, notwithstanding his gracious or glorious appearances both to them and for them to observe. One who were the criminals. The mixed multitude began. They fell lusting. The rabble that became with them of Egypt, expecting only the land of promise, but not a state of probation in the way to it. They were hangers on who took hold of skirts of the Jews, meaning people who tagged along to be blessed, and would go with them only because they knew not how to live at home and were disposed to seek their own fortunes, meaning people came around just to benefit. They followed them because that's where they was doing good at. The ones who will pop up when you do well, but don't want to be bothered with you when you're going through. Hello. Why? They want to be blessed when you're blessed. But they don't help build. They want to help grow. They just want to help come take and grab. These were the scab sheep that infected the flock, meaning the outsiders that come in and tell them to go against God anytime something go wrong. You see how your household, your children do that. Your husband, your job. These different things, when you're doing well, you're trying to do well by these people, but then other people come aside and any little thing that you done did, they're going to magnify it. So one bad sheep leavens the whole loaf. You know what that means. This spreads the infectious discontent, meaning it spreads just like the one bad apple. You stay with it, it's going to continue to rot out. So if it be great care taken not to discount them, such these are outward generations from which is our wisdom to save ourselves. Even the children of Israel took the infection, meaning they were infected with discontent, ungratefulness. As were informed, the Holy See joined themselves to the people of these abominations, right? The mixed multitude, when they was doing the calf and doing this. The number of the children, the character, distinction. Herod themselves learned their way. The scum outcasts of the camp were to be privy councilors of it. How? The children of Israel, people near to God and highly privileged, yet drawn into rebellion against him. Oh, how little honor has God in the world when they give him, when these things happen. Even when the people which he formed himself to show forth his praise were so much dishonor to him. Therefore, let none think their external professions and privileges will be their security either against Satan's temptations or sin. God's judgment for sin is what? The wages of sin is death. So when we sit here and we look even in our own lives, within our own children, we see how the families, because Satan is out for the family God created, the institution he created. Father, Son, Holy Spirit, us, the children, mother, father. Well, the father is the head and God. This is the destruction of it all. But see, Satan wants to do that because he doesn't want, and he uses us against God. Why? Because we are his creation. How do you hurt someone? Use their own children against them. Use their husband, their spouse against them. This is why your enemies in your own household. Your friends. Why? Because that's who Satan used. The ones closest to you to hurt you the most. If you want to infiltrate, if you want to tear up, destroy someone, where would you go first? Not on the outer with no one. No, on the inner, the secrets, the innermost parts. This is what this is about. So what was the crime? They lusted and murmured, though they had been lately corrected for the sin, and many of them overthrown for it, as God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah, and the smell of the fire was still in their nostrils, yet they returned to it. They magnified the plenty and the dainties they had in Egypt. Well, look at this. As if God had done them a great deal of wrong and taken them thence, meaning out. While they were in Egypt, this is the part, they signed by reason of their burden, for their lives were made bitter to them with the bondage. And yet now they talk of Egypt as if they had all lived like princes there. Huh? Have you ever had a person come stay with you? Your man, your children, whoever. Had nothing, you helped them all the way. The moment you get finished with them and you fall out or something go wrong, you tell them no, anything go wrong, they go run and tell everybody, the ones that can't stand you, everything you ain't did right. Hello, somebody. But they leave out all of the good. Now, see, these people here, when it comes to what went on in Egypt, they forgot, they praised in Egypt as if that was a good place. They forgot how they were killed, slaughtered, made to make bricks without mortar, with all hay, and how all of these things they had to do there. So this is what it's talking about. Okay, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Don't leave that part out. Because, see, people have a remember what they want when they want to. But we need to remember it all. Not just one-sided, all of it. Okay. But when we face talk of eating fish in Egypt freely, as not as if it cost them nothing. This is what they said. But when they pay so dearly for it with their hard service. Why? They remember the cucumbers and the melons and the leeks and the onions and the garlic and precious stuff indeed to be fond of it. But they do not remember the brick, the killings, the taskmasters, the voice of the oppressor, and the smart of the whip. No, these are forgotten by these ungrateful people. They were sick of the good provision God had made for them. Why? Because they was eating manna for free that God was sending down. But you had melons, but you was getting killed. You had to work for melons. My. Now, when we are telling the story, please do not leave out the good parts. Do not leave out the bad parts. Do not leave nothing out. When you tell the story, tell it and tell it all. Tell the whole duration of the story. And see, people have selective memories. They remember what they want to remember, and they discard what they want to. And I wonder, because, it is said also that Satan will have the demons to go back and forth for what you heard and what was actually said. So that can be a thing too. But we're not going to blame Satan for everything, because we have our own minds and our own whatevers. We have to take in what we take in. We know it's true. We know if someone was, they may not, no one's going to be perfect here. I don't care if you're at your job, it's not going to be great, it's whatever. But there's going to be some good and some bad and everything. Just like the year. It's beginning, it's brand new. Everyone wants it to be wonderful, of course. But that's not going to be the case. We already know that. We don't know what the year is going to bring, but we know nothing in life is going to be perfect. We know we want to elevate. We want to move forward. We know all these things, but we still have to have our part. We're going to be responsible with what we have or what God gave us. We got to manage it properly. We got to work. We got to do this. We got to do our part to make things, grow, to do different, to make good decisions, all these different things. And we got to be in alignment with God, because we need him to help us, show us who's what, where's what, how and when, where, how to move. I don't want to move without God. Because I don't want to make bad decisions, bad choices. I don't want to move. I want to move with God, in alignment with God. And this is what this is all about as well. And I've been talking about this. We've been talking about this. Because this is so important. We don't think it is, but it is. Okay. This is, it's long. Oh my gosh. I'm going to get into the other one. Y'all have to really get into this chapter. Has so much. It is so hefty, so heavy. It really is. And I would tell you to go to the Matthew Henry commentary, or it's a couple of them on there that are really, really good. That will help you, because I like to, but I also use the Copilot because it is a helper for me. So now we are going to get into this, because this thing here. Oh, Jesus. Okay. So here is a clear, rich, spiritually layered summary of chapter 11. Grounded directly in the search results. Okay. Numbers chapter 11. Complaint, burden, spirit, and judgment. Numbers 11 is a dramatic shift in Israel's journey. In Numbers 10, the people begin movement, action. So he's established them. He's taken them out. He's done all of this. He's delivered them. He's establishing them. Okay. Now they're beginning to move for the first time. So now they're starting to actually do something. So now they immediately begin to do what? Complain. The human heart under pressure. This is what it's going to expose. The weight of leadership, God's justice, God's mercy, and the power of the Spirit. Let's walk through this section by section. The people complain, firewalls, verses 1 through 3. Israel complains about their hardships. God hears, becomes angry, and sends fire that burns the outskirts of the camp. Why? Because this is a warning. Moses intercedes and the fire stops. He's praying on their behalf. Lord, do not, because I know you can destroy these people. All of us. The chapter begins with the Israelites complaining. God sends a fire. The fire of the Lord burned among them. Moses prayed, the fire was quenched. This place is named Taberah, meaning burning. Complaining is not a small thing. It reveals distrust in God's goodness, which we all have done. We all have complained, we all have murmured, we all have been upset, we all have been angry. And to a certain extent, okay, God wants to know our hearts. We don't need to lie to him. But a consistent, ongoing, never ending, that's going to be a problem. The mixed multitude stirs up craving. Israel weeps for food of Egypt, fish, cucumbers, melons, leeks, onions, and garlic. Right. Now, mixed multitudes, meaning there's some people that left with them from Egypt and came to be among them. But remember, Egypt was destroyed. So they're among them. They're outsiders. They're non-Jews. But they're being blessed just by being with them. Because there's nowhere for them to go back to. It was completely destroyed. Now, instead of them trying to be there and be of help, they're being there and want to, disrupt and tear up what God is doing. But they remember, those are Egyptians. They were never a part of this anyway. They just came along to get along, to have something. So the Israelites began to grumble about their diet, missing the variety they had in Egypt. The nerve. They longed for Egypt's food, rejecting God's provision, meaning it wasn't good enough for them. He provided, but they didn't like what he provided. Ungratefulness. Sound like your kids when you did all you can, and then they turn around and say, oh, well, you did nothing. Or you yourself at your job, with your spouses, with each other, someone else always look better, have better, they doing better, whatever the case may be. This is how that goes. Moses becomes overwhelmed and cries out to God, I cannot carry all these people alone, of course. Because when you are one person, if you're carrying, and this is for my one-person households, because I had one. And I know what that's like. Everybody wants something different, but what you want. You're trying to get people together. You're trying to run it, govern it, and it becomes a problem. Why? Because everyone wants what they want, and they don't want what you want. And although you got to want what is best for everyone as a whole, this is, because everyone's not going to get everything they want, and you're trying to get a little bit of, but there's no pleasing people. So no matter what you're going to do, you're going to always fall short. It's going to always be an issue. It's going to always be a problem. Now, which ones is more, if it's some serious issues, okay, I can see that. But if these things are minor and they're not that extravagant, we all know we're going to have issues on our job. Okay, fine. It's never going to be a perfect situation. Why? Because you got to work with other people. You got to deal with it. In your households, with your family, with your friends, you know that's not going to be a perfect situation. But as long as it's not something life-threatening or certain situations, fine. You deal with it. But if it's something that's, a little bit more, then we're going to have to discuss this. Craving is a form of spiritual regression, longing for the old bondage instead of trusting God's provision. That also comes with people who've lost a lot. There's a people who lost, whether they're family members, loved ones, houses, cars, whatever. And we see how the loss. And there's a certain amount of, like I tell people, you have to grieve. And you have to go through all of the stages of grieving, but you have to take time out. And a lot of people, they don't take time out to completely do it. And this is what happens. But after a while, you have to move forward. Then God appoints the 70 elders. The Spirit is shared so that they can help. So this is God's answer to this issue. God tells Moses to gather the 70 elders. He takes some of the Spirit that Moses has, places it on them so they can share in the burden. Why? Because you need people like-minded like you who are going to be willing to have a heart and a mind like you to help, to carry the load, And this is why God made more than one, so that you didn't have to carry all the burden on yourself. Because then there's no way to do that. There's not no one-man army situations. But you have to have people that's willing to work with you and not against you and not jealous of you and not complaining and want what you have and don't want you to have it and want to take it from you and want to do better and excel and all of that. All of that is a problem. Because it's going to always interfere with what's going on. You got too many chiefs, not enough Indians. Everybody wants to be the boss and tell you what to do. This is where these issues and problems come in at. 2 men, Eldad and Medad, prophesied in the camp. Joshua wants Moses to stop them. Moses replied, with that, all the Lord's people were prophets. Spiritual theme, God's Spirit is not limited. Leadership is shared. The Spirit empowers community, not hierarchy. Right. So it's not just for one person. The Spirit's supposed to be poured out on everyone. It will be different in each one, but why would we be arguing about so we're just supposed to keep it amongst ourselves? That's greedy. That's selfishness. Why would you do that? But this is what selfishness, this is what wanting to be better, do better above people, want to think you're better, you look better, your house is better. This is what this is, competition, comparison. This is what this is all about, and this is what it does. God sends quail and judgment. God sends an overwhelming amount of quail, a day's journey in every direction, piled high. Why? Just shut them up. Let them eat it till they are so sick of it. Why? Because it's what they want. I'm going to give it to them. And sometimes people ask for things you get and it's not what you want, the way you want it, how you like it, whatever. Why? And then sometimes it's to show you. Maybe you want it because somebody else had it and you don't want them to have it. But then you don't know what comes with it. And if it wasn't yours in the first place, this is a problem. So, but while the meat is still fresh in their teeth, God strikes them with a plague. Search results confirmed. God sends quail in abundance, but while the people gorge themselves, severe plague strikes. This place is named Kilbroth Hadava. It says graves of craving. Wow. Letting your flesh take over. Sometimes God gives what people demand, and the result exposes the heart. Craving leads to spiritual death. A lot of people prayed for marriage, and then they got one, and then it didn't work. Prayed for promotion, it didn't work. Why? Maybe they didn't have it or didn't want it because it wasn't meant for them, because it wasn't their timing. They rushed it. Whatever it wasn't the right person. It wasn't the timing. It wasn't this. God wasn't in it. They went it and did it ahead of God. He didn't tell them. Whatever the reason. And God allowed you to have it. Why? Because that's what you wanted. You got it. You chased after. You got, okay, and now you got to deal with it. The consequences thereafter, because we all have free will. But then afterwards, we would get mad and complain with God about what is going on. But it was your own fault. How? That was your decision. That was your choice. That's what you wanted. You got it. So now what is the problem? So there's no satisfying. Complaint versus gratitude. Israel complains despite God's constant care. Somebody constantly caring for you, but you got every complaint in the world. Are you seriously joking? Are you kidding me? This is all the people who like to bash the mamas, bash to this, bash to that. The grandmamas, whoever's the caretakers, when they're giving and they're doing what they need to be doing, and folks are just never happy and never satisfied about nothing. The burden of leadership, because being a leader, being the mama, being the head, it is not an easy task. It is something that you are a human being. You're going to have your issues, and then you got to help and do everything for everyone. Usually you're putting, when you're in a service role, you're putting the needs of everyone else before yours anyway. So you're over here lacking, especially if these people complaining and not pouring back into you. So you're just completely hemorrhaging out finances, mental capacity, emotional capacity, physical capacity, spiritual capacity, and nobody cares. They just want you to keep doing what they want because they're such selfish. But they don't care if you get anything. They don't care if they give you not one thing. As long as you continue and keep giving and doing for them. That's it. As long as you're strong enough to do that, they don't care about it. Now you can fall out, pass out, and die. All they're going to do is want what you got when you leave here. That's it. And that is not of God either. That is not a blessing. That is a cursing. The burden of leadership. Moses felt crushed by the weight of the people's demands. Exactly. Wanting entirely too much. Not being grateful. Not being understanding. Not being happy and content with what you have. Always feeling entitled, like somebody owes you something. The Spirit empowers communities. 70 elders received the Spirit to help Moses lead. This was God's answer, help. But when they received it, you would think that would have helped. No. They're still not happy. Craving leads to judgment. Reject God's provision. It brings consequences. That's just like rejecting your parents. When they get tired of you complaining about what you do in their house, get out. If you don't like what goes on here, I done did everything. I'm paying all these bills. You're not doing nothing. If you don't like it, go ahead and get out. But then you get mad when they want you, when it's time for them to help you do something. They don't want to help you do nothing. They want to comparison, oh, what you did. No, that's you can never give back to your parents what they have done for you. Nor have they asked you to. But you can have a little gratitude, and you can be a little bit respected and have honor, and you can help them. Now, is everyone like that? No. There are some out there who are just, you can never please the parents either. They're filled with their own stuff. I get it. But is everyone like that? No. And they may have their issues and their flaws, but you do too. And if they put up with you and your foolishness all them years and still took care of you and loved you, you should be able to have a little ounce of something for your own parents. This is crazy. Folks will have you go through everything in up and down puddles and jump over across oceans and won't even put their toe in a little drop of water for you. God's justice and mercy and then complain. God's justice and mercy intertwined. Fire, plague, and yet also spirit. Leadership and provision. Hold on. So like I said, when it comes to these things in our life, we have to be very, very careful of them. We are at the beginning of a new season. We're trying to do things different. These old patterns, cycles, habits, thoughts have got to change and stop. We cannot continue. I see even in bloodlines where the families do not get along. It is so ugly. It is so nasty. We want healing. God wants family. He wants marriages. He wants all of these things. But we're all angry. We're all hurt. And we all need time to heal in order to move on. And we have to be grateful and thankful for what it is that we do have. And complaining and moaning all the time about every little thing, it is not going to help the situation. The spiritual architecture of this is where the text become almost X-ray transparent, revealing the inner dynamics of the human heart, leadership, desire, and the movement of God's spirit. Let's look at these layers. The inner anatomy of a spiritual crisis. Number 11 is not just a story about complaining. It is a diagnosis of what happens when a community moves from rest to journey, from order to pressure, from instruction to testing. And this is what we go through as believers as well in our lives. And we got to understand every level is going to be higher and more. Just like in school, you pass this, you go through this, whether it's because you are obedient, disobedient. If it's a trial, if it's a judgment, if it's a testing to see if you pass to move forward. But you're going to have to go through things. There's going to be a pharaoh, a mountain, a hill to climb. Whatever it's going to be, we're going to have it. It is the first major spiritual breakdown after Israel begins moving from Sinai. Let's explore the deep layers. The fire at the edges of the first sign of the internal decay. The fire burns the edges of the camp, not the center. This is symbolic. The edges represent the spiritually vulnerable, the fringe, those least anchored. Right. The first to be shaken when pressure rises. Wow. When a community moves into a new season, the edges always react first. This is a pattern throughout scripture that's like people. Eve is approached at the edge of the garden. Amalek attracts Israel's stragglers at the rear. Jesus warns Peter that Satan targets the siftable, meaning the ones at they talk about how the weakest link, the one that is the weakest, that's the one who will be targeted first. So you're only as strong as your weakest link. Remember, siftable means to be, sifted like wheat, to be, And this is where you will see Satan will attack the weakest one. The weakest vessel was the woman. And the pressure exposes the edges first. So this is a warning. The craving for meat, the return of Egypt in the heart. The people don't just want meat, they want Egypt. They haven't been delivered from it. Healed, delivered, and restored completely from Egypt, meaning they list fish, cucumbers, melons, leeks, onions, garlic. This is not a menu. It is a memory of bondage disguised as comfort. That's just like when you leave a person, a relationship, you remember all the good. But if it was so wonderful, you wouldn't have left it. So why are you remembering all of the good? You have to remember both to keep it in perspective. And this is what they talk about when your mind is still in bondage. And when you think about slavery, when you think about all these things, no matter what it is, whether it's trauma, all of these things, this is what they call trauma bonding. This is when they talk about the sexual rituals, why it creates a bond. Why? Of trauma, habitual, the Stockholm syndrome of loving the one who hurts you. And people think it's love. It's not. It's witchcraft, it's sorcery, it's a bunch of things. It's manipulation, it's control. This is what it is. But they think it's love. And it's not. It's a sickness, it's a disease, it's depression, it's PTSD, it's emotional abandonment issues of being afraid, of being alone. This is what this is about. So when you see a lot of things happening in relationships and people, places, and things and jobs, then you will start to understand that this is what's going on. The tie is not love. The tie is bondage. It is shackled with what? Trauma. The deeper truth, when God moves you forward, the flesh tries to pull you backward. This is the memories. This is the heartstrings. This is the emotions. This is all of this that is going to try. And this is why salvation is so hard, because you have to fight against that flesh, that lust, that liking of lust, the liking of sleeping around, the liking of being around people that treated you poorly or whatever, the wanting to be with someone because you want to have love. You've been chasing love. You don't have love. Why? Because you've been rejected your whole life. You're holding on to anything, and God is taking it, removing it. Why? Because he wants to give you something better. But the only way you're going to get it is if you let go. Well, you have to let go of Egypt in order to get to the promised land. You cannot hold on to Egypt and think that God's going to place you there. And that's what your whole mental, emotional, physical, financial, and spiritual, you have to let it go. And this is why certain people, places, and things have to go, because they have to die off for the new you to arise. That new seed that has to be planted. The old you have to die. This is the transitioning. This is the in-between. This is the part we do not like. The leaving of one and the being here and not able to go yet into the new until we're rooted, until we're cleaned up, until we go through the fire, we go through the dross. Everything that's not like of God is burnt out. All the people, places, and things, the memories, all of that has to be taken out first. So when God moves you forward, the flesh tries to pull you backward. Craving is not hunger. Craving is misplaced desire, a longing for what God already freed you from. So your friend, your ex-husband, or your ex-lovers, your boyfriends, you will see that the devil will try to bring them back. He will try to send them back from the same thing that he delivered you from. But this is a test to see if you're going to go back. If you learned your lesson, or if you're going to repeat the same old mistakes and patterns. This is like addictions. Love is addictions. They can be. You know, you have addictions. This is where the demonization comes in, when you have the behavior extremes, when you have the PTSDs, the trauma, the OCDs, all of these different things that they talk about. Bitterness and unforgiveness you have. All these things, the demonization, you have to be healed from. Addictions, behavior extremes, bitterness, unforgiveness, compulsive behaviors, depression, fears and phobias, guilt, shame, self-condemnation, hearing voices, hereditary illnesses, involvement in false religions, occult involvement, any sort, including games and video games of occult nature, sexual aberration, meaning this could be fornication. This could be, homosexuality, whatever. It could be abuse, physical, emotional, sexual. And if you already had these things, in your life, molestation, rape, suicidal tendencies, anger and violent behavior, traumas, meaning physical or emotional, traumatic events, struggles and or failure to make, that's most of them anyway. So what happens is, this is why the place is named Kilborough of Hadava. Graves of craving, meaning craving buries people. The craving of an old lover, the craving of old people, places, and things, wanting them to come back and be around you, wanting things to be, I don't want things to be the old way. Anything I had, I don't want. I want new things, new people, new places, new things. No, I don't. And I don't want rekindle friendships or people, places, and things by, because I would never want things to be the way that they were anyway. If they were good, I wouldn't have left them. And it's not to say they were good for that time frame, because they weren't all bad, but whatever happened, we ended up not. You see what I'm saying? It's time to move on. People in your life for a reason, season, a lesson, whatever, a blessing. So Moses breaks down the honest cry of a leader, and Moses said, why have you put the burden of all these people upon me? I cannot carry them alone. If this is how it's going to be, kill me now, because he doesn't want to do this. This is one of the rarest prayers in the Torah. Why? Because who wants to be bothered carrying people who are against you, who don't see nothing good about you, who, whatever you do, you're not happy. They want more of you. They're not happy and grateful of nothing. And this is what will push people away from you. Because if nothing you do is good enough, then they don't want to be bothered. After a while, you will push those people away. They will stop doing. They will say, never mind, forget it. I don't even want to be bothered. Until you go get healed, I don't want nothing to do with you. Because I got my own stuff to deal with. And while I'm dealing with yours, and you should be happy, but instead of you be happy and okay with me trying to be here and deal, you want to overburden me, want me to play God in your life, Captain Save you, and that's not who I am. I can assist, I can help, but I'm not here to carry your burdens. And if we're going to do this, we need to carry together, live together, what makes sense. Not me carrying it all while you complain. That's not going to work. This is why when we look at relationships and the dynamics of them, the households, the families, the men, the women, all of these things, the children, who's bearing all the weight, the burden? Think about that for a moment. Because the men would say this, the children would say that, but usually it's the mother bearing all the burdens. Now, unless you're in a household where the father is the one who have the children and the mother is gone, yes, it will be the mother. She's bearing her own life, her own issues, her own trauma. She has to bury that to deal with everybody else's stuff, and they don't even care about her stuff, or nothing else. This is the problem with that. This is the ungratefulness. This is the not respected. No. She can't get her own stuff together. She ain't got time. Too busy dealing with everybody else's stuff. And not appreciated. Nobody's grateful. Nobody's happy. Nobody's helping. But they just complaining about it all. And everything she do is terrible and wrong. We need to think about these things. So Moses is not rebelling. He's breaking under the weight of the responsibility. And when we look at women, especially, and we look at what's going on, this is how we're getting broken down, tore down, and this is why we are out there and we're looking older before our time and all these type of things. We're bearing too much weight, too much burden. We're not supposed to be bearing all of this in the first place. And men can say what they want to say, but until they're doing their part and what they're supposed to be doing, okay, which is help lift and help carry, then what are we doing here? Because you could complain about your baby mama all day, you complain about your ex and whatever, but if she's still taking care of your children and you're somewhere else with someone else, you really can't complain. Because if not, that child will be completely with you, and she could send you $100 or $300 a month, and let's see how that works for you. Because people could say that the child support is enough. It is not. And if that child lived with you, you would pay way more than $200-300 a month to take care of that child. So now let's be honest about these things. There's a lot of things that we need to really unpack here. Now the man has his issues as well. But when both of you have issues, both of us need to sit down and discuss this thing. But see, it's all about God in the first place. We probably got together and it wasn't even a godly thing. It was just a fornicate, lust, we want to sleep, we wanted big booty, this, that, and the third. She was looking good, he was looking cute. Manipulation, lying, scheming, witchcraft, sorcery to get her. Why? Because he ain't telling her the truth. Okay? He manipulating, lying to control her, to get in bed, to get what they want. She probably doing the same because she want a few dollars, whatever. It's not a love thing. It's a transactional thing. It's a competition thing. That's not love. So leadership becomes too heavy. This is that moment. Because the breaking under the weight of responsibility, the calling exceeds human strength. The soul cries out for divine partnership, right? This is why man should not be alone. God does not rebuke Moses, right? Because he didn't create him to be alone anyway. He created him to have a relationship with him and to have a partner. So he answers with the Spirit, not with punishment. He gives him the elders. The Spirit multiplied, not divided. Multiplied, not divided. Remember that. Multiplied, not divided. He didn't take away. He added. God takes some of the Spirit that was on Moses and places it on the 70 elders. This does not mean Moses loses anything. The Spirit is not pie that gets sliced thinner. That's the whole point. The deeper truth when God shares the Spirit, no one is diminished, right? That's the whole point. You're not supposed to be diminished. Everyone is enlarged. Right. No depletions. This is a moment in Scripture where leadership becomes shared and evenly distributed, which is what we need to lift this weight. It is a foreshadowing of Joel 2. I will pour out my Spirit on all flesh. Acts 2, the Spirit falling on the 120, right? Moses' words echoes across the ages. Would that all the Lord's people were prophets, right? This is the heartbeat of Pentecost, meaning the Spirit poured out. We're supposed to prophesy, lay hands, all of us, in some way, shape, form, or fashion. Supposed to be doing something. Everyone's gifts and talents God has. Everyone's appointment, assignments, on purpose, whatever. But we are taught selfishness, individualism, and all those other things. This is why comparison and all of that, instead of working together, we're working against each other. Compete. That is not the way. That is not the way. Two men who are not at the tent began prophesying in the camp. Joshua wants to stop them. Moses refuses. Why would you stop that? The deeper layer. This is what we see in the churches everywhere. People, oh, this one is anointed. That one is this. And this one speaking in tongues. This one don't speak in tongues. That one don't do this. This one don't lay hands. That one. Everybody not going to do everything. Whatever you got, you got. I'm not going to argue with what you got because I got what I got. And that's fine. And we're supposed to use all of this to work together for who is coming in. The harvest, the people. The people supposed to be coming in. Jesus didn't tell us to sit around and compete against each other. That's not what they was doing. No. Oh, you speak in tongues and I'm going to lay hands and I'm going to do this faster than you and better than you and I'm going to do this and I'm going to be on the deacon board and the usher board and this and I'm going to do this and we going to sing and prophesy. No. That's not what they were doing. Supposed to follow Christ. And Christ wants you to go get the sheep, go get the flock, go out there and get them and bring them back. This ain't no competition. This ain't no stage. We ain't doing no performances or who's doing better, but magical stuff with the worshiping to see who God's a competition. No, that's not what this is about. But you see this all over. This is what we see. People land, the spirit refuses to be confined to official spaces. This is a pattern. God speaks to Hagar in the wilderness. God anoints David outside of the palace. Remember, before he got to the palace, he was out there in being a shepherd sheep boy for years before he ever entered the palace. Why? He had to be processed. He wasn't ready to handle it. A lot of us are still in process. Let's keep getting processed, baby. Stay where you're at till you're able to handle it. You don't want to jump ship and jump ahead because you can't deal with it now. If you get it now, it'll crush you, the weight. You want the anointing, but you don't want the fire. You don't want to go. You want with somebody else. You don't want what they got to go through. No. Stop doing that. God speaks to Hagar. God anoints David outside the palace. Jesus heals outside the synagogue. The Spirit falls on the Gentiles before they are properly included. The Spirit moves where he wills, not where humans expect. Outside the synagogues, it was moving. Why? The ones in the synagogue, what was they doing? Acting a fool? Thinking they was more godly than God? Telling Jesus he wasn't nothing. When he was the way, the truth, and the light. See how that had to work? God sends quail, the demands. God sends quail in overwhelming abundance, but the quail is not a blessing. It's a judgment disguised as provision. The deeper truth. Sometimes God gives the people what they want, what they insist on. Not because it is good, but because it exposes their heart. People get money, you see how they act. That's who they really were. Let somebody come be with you a while and get themselves together and watch how nasty and rude they treat you. If that's what's in them, it's going to be in them. They're not going to show that part of them in the beginning. No, they're going to show that part after they get what they want. Don't get it twisted. But it was always there. You just didn't see it. It got enlightened when they got a little power, because that's what people do when they get a little power, a little whatever. They show who they really are by the way they act and treat people. That's who they always were. It's just revealing. This Romans 1 narrative is formed. God gave them over to their desires. The plague strikes while the meat is still in their teeth. This is the biblical picture of desire without restraint, appetite without gratitude, consumption without discernment. The place becomes a graveyard of craving. The spiritual architecture. The first cracks appears in the margins. Pressure reveals in the edges. Craving is the enemy of calling. Egypt always tries to return through appetite. Leadership requires shared spirit. No one can carry God's people alone. The Spirit breaks human boundaries. Eldad and Medad show that God refused to be boxed in. God sometimes answers desires to expose it. The quail becomes a mirror of the heart. Wow. So when we think about these things, because they talk about how these things expose, and they do. Pressure is exposed in the heart. Structure trumpets, formation, clarity is unraveling. This is not accidental. When pressure is applied, you will see how things are going to happen. This is why when you're being applied, pressured on, you will see who will help and who will scatter. This is the time when you're going to see. It's 2 times in your life you need to really be paying attention. When you're winning and when you're losing. When you're losing, you're going to see who is going to be there and who's going to laugh and mock and who's going to help. When you get to where you're going, you're going to see who's going to come back, who's going to mistreat you, who's going to want to be around you, who's going to pretend that they love you. This is where, so you, and how you're going to be within yourself. So these are the places that you need to understand. Because then you'll change and you'll act funny and shady towards other people too. And it won't be because you've been waiting to say and tell them certain things, but you couldn't tell them that when you were down. You had to wait till you got on your feet. This is how this goes. Pay attention. Who claps for you, who don't? Who helps, who want to be there when you're shining, who don't want to be a part of you when you're not, who don't know you, your phone don't ring when you're going through, but when the more you start to, move and things start happening, folks start to call you, want to come on a check. No. Old patterns will surface, hidden desires rise, pressures reveal what peace conceal, movement exposes what still needs healing, right? First test emotion. The fire at the edge of judgment begins where the commitment is the weakest. The first burns the edges of the camp. This is symbolic. The edges represent spiritually unanchored and the half committed. The ones who follow the crowd, not the cloud. Right. God doesn't burn the center. He burns the fringe, the place where discontent first takes root. This is spiritual law. The first place to burn is the place least surrendered. That's in your life. If you're still having cravings for all these other things, you still need some time in the furnace. Why? Because you're still not healed, delivered, and restored from those things. Craving is not hunger, it's a memory of bondage. Remember that. The people don't just want meat, they want Egypt. They want what's old, what they missed. They list the food, slavery, longing. This is psychology of spiritual regression. When the present feels uncertain, this is what happens. The past suddenly looks attractive. Why are you afraid of moving forward? This is the fear, the paralyzing, the not having hope, not having faith. This is where that happens. That's that transition of are you going to move forward? Are you going to stand still or go backwards? That's the delay, the stagnation, the delay, the backwardness. Even bondage gets romanticized. Craving is the soul's attempt to return to what God already delivered you from. Do not go back to it. This is why the place becomes Kilbreth. Cravings, graves of craving. Craving buries destiny. Moses break down the honest prayer. God honors. I cannot carry them. This burden is too heavy. If this is how it will be, kill me. This is not rebellion. This is holy exhaustion. And God does not rebuke him. Instead, God answers with spirit, not punishment. This is profound. When leaders break, honestly, God responds with empowerment. He doesn't disgrace them. The 70 elders, the spirit of multiplies without diminishing. And the right people would have got around him and helped him anyway. God they sat there and watched him just go under. Instead of, that's like people you're trying to save, you save them, you try to help them. And then instead of you getting them out of the water, you're like a lifeguard jumping in, and then they the ones that push you down and watch you drown after you just said this is what that is all about. God takes some of the spirit of Moses and places on the elders. This does not mean Moses loses anything. Spirit is not limited to resource, spiritual truth. When God shares the spirit, everyone increases. The moment is a prototype of Joel 2, right? The democratization of the spirit. Well, all the Lord's people were prophets in the heartbeat of the Pentecost. The spirit breaks human boundaries. So the two men never came to the tent. They began prophesying in the camp. Joshua wants them to shut down. Why? Because location, hierarchy, expectation, human control. Because the spirit refuses to be contained. Why? They want you not to be the one to have anything. They don't want you. You're not in their location. They're higher above you, so they think. Their expectation is lower of you. They want to control you if you do have anything that they don't have. They are jealous. They want it. Or they don't want you to have it. This is recurring about biblical pattern. God speaks outside of the official structure to remind us he is free. He will let his spirit pour out on whom he will. Remember, the sun rises and sets on the just and the unjust alike each and every day. The quail is when God gives what the flesh demands. God gives the meat, not blessing, but as exposure. The quail is a mirror. The plague strikes when the meat is still in the teeth. Why? The biblical desire without restraint, appetite without gratitude, consumption without discernment. The craving becomes a cause of death. Sometimes God answers the demand to reveal your heart behind it. What are your true heart motives and desires? When it comes to if God was to give you what you asked for, what would you do with it? And when you got it, would you turn around and give God your behind to kiss? Because a lot of people do that. We see God takes people from nothing, make them something. And he is tired of them when they get to where they're going, go and be with the devil, go do everything that they promised they wouldn't do. But the moment they get to where they want to be, everything changes. We have seen it over and over again. Look at people, what goes on. Folks start out in the gospel realm, end up on platforms and altars with who? With the devil and all his people. Let's think about it. We're from singing in church to singing over there, crossover for the devil. All on the BET Awards now. Let's talk about it. But you gospel, you came from the Lord. He so-called blessed you, let you go. Was that a blessing or was that the devil setting you up? Because that was really in your heart. So he allowed you to have it. But now you over there in the devil's camp. You thinking you saved. You thinking you on the right altar when you on the devil's altar. And you are going with them. You're not going with God. God ain't tell you to be over there. But that's what your flesh wanted, so he allowed you to have it. But then these people sit up there and say, oh, well, this is of the Lord. That's not the God we serve. That's the God they serve. Know which is which. Discern, because certain blessings, certain things are not of God. The devil will present it to you as it, and you'll think it. Gift wrap a husband, a wife, a gift, a present, a job, a promotion, a business, and it could be the downfall of you because it will be sent straight to you from the pits of hell with your name on it, just like you like it. Everything you prayed and asked God for. Here are the core patterns. Movement is supposed to what still needs healing. The movement, Israel moves, the heart cracks open. Complaining is a symptom, a misaligned desire. It reveals a heart still attached to Egypt. Leadership requires shared spirit. No one carries God's people alone. The spirit moves beyond human boundaries. Eldad and Medad show God's freedom. Craving is the enemy of calling. It leads to spiritual graves. God's judgment and mercy operate simultaneously. Fire and spirit appear in the same chapter. So when we look at these things, like I said, we must pay attention because, honey, this year will be full of all of these things. And we need to be very high alert and discerned because it's going to be a lot of things go on. There are going to be some good and some bad. We're not going to sit here and just say that it's all going to be, we hope always that, but it's all going to work for our good. We're going to watch what we say and watch what we do because no matter what, all things work together for the good of them that love the Lord and call according to his riches and his glory. So even whatever is set out for us, God is going to use it for our good. So we will say that. We don't know what tomorrow holds. We don't know what everything holds. But we know the one who holds it and is the Lord, is God, is Jesus. And he is for us and not against us. And anything that he allows, he's going to allow it to build us, to test us, to strengthen us. And we have to know that each level, this is always going to be something that we're going to have to be doing. This is not a standstill, stagnated. No, this is a sifting, a fire that is burning to remove what is not of God, of Christ, to take it out, to burn it. That means it's going to be pain. There's going to be humiliation. There's going to be heartbreak. We're going to cry. We're going to laugh. We're going to go through things. It all is a part of the process. We have to be ready for it. We're not going to sit here and talk about, you name it, you claim it, you got it, you manifest it, you're going to get it. You just sit there and no. And a lot of that happens because they use the what they call it, the principles and laws of God, and they still stand. But we know that when it comes to certain areas, you see what I'm saying? And it's not to say everyone who has money or whatever is of the devil. No, we're not going to say that. But what we are going to say is, when it comes to our own lives, we're going to pay attention. We're going to allow God to lead us. He's the shepherd. We're going to move when he say move. We're going to be happy. We're going to be thankful. We're going to be grateful. We're not going to be ungrateful. We're going to be walking in with him to know what it is he knows. We want that intimacy. We want to, and we're going to take care of one another. We're going to carry the loads. We're going to do what we need to do. We're going to help with those who needs our help. We're going to pray for the ones who are in our lives that God sent there to be a blessing and not a cursing to us. And we're going to know who's who and what's what because we're not going to mix them up. We're not going to love the ones. And it's not to say we're not supposed to love because we're supposed to love everybody and forgive everybody. But we don't have to deal and like everybody or deal with them like that. Proximity, because we don't need for them to be, and we need to be mindful. So I'm going to end this with this. Like I said, this is an on-time word. It is the beginning of the year, and just know that any and everything that can, it will be sent, it will be done. We must be open, our eye, ear, nose, mouth, gates, in the spiritual and the natural. Okay, guarding our hearts and our minds, our gates, our talents, our gifts. We must, in prayer and fasting, praise and worship, obedience. This is what we need to be doing. We need to be setting out this year. It's not the beginning of the year, but this is the month. April 1st is the beginning of the year. That's when we're going to be doing this all again. But I love you guys, bruised and not broken, and I hope that this word is going to bless and help somebody. Because, honey, I'm going to tell you, it was such a blessing to me. And I was like, Lord, I thank you. Also, when it comes, one more thing, when it comes to relationships, because remember, Satan doesn't want us to have relationships. All this AI, all this tech with that they're rolling out. Please understand, you've seen all these robots and they're dating them and they're doing all this stuff and they got them, introducing them to us. They already have, the pornography stuff where they have the sex toys and stuff. This is all, and it was all about not having the natural relationship and love and affection for one another. This is something that is very key and very important. Why? Because God gave us that. That's something as natural human beings to have love and affection for one another, including sex, which is a part of your ties to each other, commencement, covenantal with God when it comes to relationships, especially when it comes to marriages. So we must understand when they're promoting all of this stuff, it is for a reason. They already got the homosexuality. They're trying to discontinue human race. These AI bots or whatever you want to call them, they're really here, I'm going to tell you, because those are those demonic forces that are disembodied. So what they would do, because we keep thinking and talking about how AI is going to, why? Because they're going to rebel. But they're already in those bots or whatever you see are not AI. They call it artificial intelligence. That's them giving them demons a body, because that's what they are, disembodied humans, meaning spirits. So they need bodies. So this is what they're doing. Now remember, all of this went on before. So they're introducing it so that you can marry a robot or fall in love with and have sex with. This is what goes on in your sleep with the incubus and succubuses. So when you're doing all that, that's another reason why, dealing with the sex toys and stuff, because it's not natural, because there's something behind it, because of all of that, it brings upon all these other things. This is what this is about. So we must understand the natural. This is to procreate. This is to all of these things. And they give you the answer to the solution to the problem that they already created. Okay? Because they got us at war with one another. They got us doing all this stuff, hating, because we're selfish. They introduced all these things to us. So we're sitting here arguing back and forth. The fornication, everything's good. That is not good. Everything God says no to. Marriage, sex outside of marriage is fornication, adultery, all these things. So they make it all right so you can go do it. They say, oh, just do it. It's okay. So then you do it, and you find yourself alone, broke, this, with children, all of this. And then we blame God, and then we're upset. And then, so now we want somebody. So now it will be about what? Okay, so if you don't want diseases, you don't want a man that's going to run around and cheat on you, would you go and marry a robot? Would you go have sex with a robot? I mean, because I'm going to tell you, I had seen the little puppy thing, right? They got that woofy or whatever it is. And I thought, oh, that's cute. But then I said, why would they invent that? There's an issue. Why? Because instead of getting a real puppy and replacing everything real, see? With all this fake. Get you a robot dog. So you can not be by yourself, have companionship, and not be lonely. But then one day that dog gonna turn on you. You don't have to clean up poop. You don't have to this. And convenience and comfort. And the devil loves to give you convenience and comfort, because struggle is not what you want. But struggle is part of process. Process is what you need to refine, to get to, new levels, to get to new places, to have, promotion in your life, to have different, this is what you need for growth, for, stimulus, whatever. And without it, you're just going to be sitting there looking like a lump on a log. You just won't grow, you won't build, you won't do anything. So because you're going to move when it comes to resistance. You don't move when you're just happy and everything's flourishing. That's why people get, when they're dysfunctional, they always want something to be going on. They don't know how to be without anything and don't know how to rest. But anyway, so now that we're sitting here and we're looking at that, and I was like, wow, because I keep seeing all these robots and all these things and all these movies, and they're replacing. This is what they're doing. Replacing human connection. Because they already had us out of the home with our children, so we really couldn't raise them. They already had us working their jobs. They have us loving their money, their fame, their things. So most of the kids were raised by themselves, or their parents were working and they weren't able to give them the love that they needed. And then half of them didn't have it anyway because they were poor. They didn't get it themselves, the affirmations, all these things. And I tell people, because I myself, and you can't give what you don't have, pour from a cup you don't have. I myself have a lot of affirmations and a lot of stuff for myself. And the reason that I do is because, I find myself that that's something that I really needed. Why? Because I never felt like the prettiest, never, the rejection of this, to being secluded, to being by myself, to be, having issues with my own life. So, the affirmations, and I tell people, you don't know what people go through, and, depression and all these other things, I've had, had to fight and battle with a lot of things. So it's like, and it's a battle. I'm still a work in progress. Salvation is worked out, each and every day. God is still working on me. I drank, I smoked, I fornicated, I partied. I did all the things everybody else did. But He's taking these things out of me. He's refining me. And it's not an overnight process. It's not easy. I hurt, I cry, I go through things just like everybody else. But when I noticed it's because the companionship, because everyone wants, the companionship. And I said, I don't want to get married again. I don't want to do this. I don't want to. My dog will be cute. I will have a dog in the house. I won't have to. But then God's like, everything's going to be replaced by AI. Why? It's convenient. You don't have to put any work into it. Doesn't take any effort. Relationships, men, they want somebody to cook and clean, shut up, and have sex with them. Robot, boom, there's the answer. See? Hey, you don't want a dog you have to, take to the vet and really is a human, not a human, but a real dog, life spirit. No, you want to. I said, Lord, including our phones, the AI has replaced so much, even when it comes to relationships. People are online dating and all these other things. With a true intimacy, people text instead of calling. Everything, there's no natural love, no natural, you see what I'm saying? So it's replacing all, and this is how we find ourselves in where we are. So what I would say is, please be mindful of these things, because in hindsight, they may sound great in the beginning, but when you think about what it's actually doing, no, it's not. And you're actually participating in your own, demises. So be mindful of it. But we're bruised and not broken. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel if it has been a blessing to you. Like I said, I have been doing this almost 2 years now. April, it'll be 2 years that I have launched this page. It has been a blessing. I'm growing. I thank God. It's been a step-by-step situation. And I thank him for all that he is doing in my life and sharing with you guys what is going on and helping to see what I'm seeing, what he's showing me, and to help, people get to from one day to another. So please be a blessing to me. I have my Cash App in the bio as well. I'm a blessing to you guys. It's not all about money and funds, but if you can be a blessing, be a blessing. I try to be a blessing to people everywhere I go in every aspect of life, whether it's a mental, emotional, physical, financial, or spiritual thing. I would never show what I do because I don't believe in that. Like I said, I tell people all the time, if I'm going to lend, if I'm going to give, if I do things for people, it would be out of the goodness of my heart. And it was not something that everyone needs to know about. It is not for show. God will reward me, openly for the things that I do privately. And I don't feel like, people should be embarrassed about, their situations, because no one wants their misfortunes put on blast per se. But anyway, love you guys. And just for the ones who are out there needing of help, be mindful, be appreciative, be grateful and thankful, because people do not have to, and don't be the ones to put so much on folks who are trying, to help you. And know the difference between the ones who are and who do and those who don't. So like I said, bruised and not broken. Love you guys so much. This video has been longer than I wanted it to be, but I love y'all. Thank y'all and be blessed.